children can change in their attitude in seconds, like in split seconds, where they're super happy and then literally
flip of a switch.
Like you swear that they farted sideways and then all of a sudden like.
Well, and sometimes it's like you wake up or you're woke up in the morning, you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't get enough sleep. Versus if you would lay there for 30 seconds and say, thank you for the sleep that I was able to get this last night, right? That will change the entire tone for the day and the negatives. It's not just when we reach out for that life preserver, only when, in times of need, right? We need to constantly be in that conversation and constantly be in gratitude, because then being able to put it into practice, right?
Yeah.
We can do all the reading, but if we don't actually become actionable and do the things that we are reading, then it's just fluff.
Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Skip Wyss, and as always, I have my beautiful, radiant lady in pink today, Dr. Julie Wyss. How are you?
I'm good. We're kind of like pink and blue.
Well,
we fit the roles.
It's like a positive pregnancy test.
That's kind of what I was thinking, but we're not actually going to talk about pregnancy today.
We're not. Dr. Julie, I am super happy that you're here. I'm always grateful that you're in my life. You are the best wife anybody could ever ask for, and probably the most amazing mom our kids could ever ask for, even though at times they may think differently. But I just wanted to tell you that I'm grateful for you.
Thank you. And I think that's what works really well in today's topic, speaking gratitude and thanks. And I'm thankful for you as well.
Exactly, because one of the biggest and hardest things as a parent is to not allow yourselves to get negative in front of your children, getting negative in situations. Negativity in your life brings on a lot of despair, a lot of anger, and you can easily flip that switch.
Well, negativity, anger, like that, those go down, depression, anxiety, but ultimately that is the foundation of cancer cells, right? We're altering biochemistry within our body. So if we can start to change the way we think and the way that we feel, but ultimately how we speak within our home and showing thanks and speaking to our children that way, we get to change their trajectory of their life.
Right. And I find it interesting that you went to cancer cells right away, because that's something that people don't necessarily think about or bring into it. I mean, we talk about cancer and everybody talks about oxidative stress and just what you're putting in your diet and all this other stuff, but they never talk about the thought component of your body. And your body's cells run on a very specific frequency all the time. And when there's tons of stress, that frequency changes. And what I mean by that is their vibration pattern changes. And your nervous system is what runs that vibration pattern. So if your thought process is off and you're super negative, and that is coming from your brain, it's your subconscious, and then all of a sudden now you're consciously being negative, you're going to change the entire neurology pattern of your body, like immediately. And there is literally tons of research, but even more importantly, there's thousands of coaches out there that talk to you about mindset all the time. Like, you can read books, you can listen to podcasts, you can listen to this podcast, but being grateful is a big thing. And it starts with a foundation at home with your kids.
Being able to put it into practice, right?
Yeah.
We can do all the reading, but if we don't actually become actionable and do the things that we are reading, then it's just fluff. We haven't done anything with it.
Right. It's so easy to talk to God and ask him why things happen, be negative all the time, say, why did you take this away? Why didn't you stop that person from dying? These are all questions that we ask as humans, and we bring in a lot of doubt. But what we don't actually say is, thank you for blessing me with my life. Thank you for letting me be here today. Thank you for the lessons you're going to teach me today. Thank you for the hardship you may bring on to me today, which is one of the hardest things to do is to thank somebody when they bring on despair or they bring on hardship. It's super hard.
We need to be thankful in the positives and the negatives. It's not just when we reach out for that life preserver, only when, in times of need, right? We need to constantly be in that conversation and constantly be in gratitude, because then when those times of need, when the stress comes or the surge is unbearable, if we've already built up a foundation of gratitude and know who the people are that we can reach out to, it just makes whatever that issue is or that problem that much easier to deal with.
Well, it's who in your life makes it better for you. Who makes you better? Who can come into your life and provide you happiness and love and joy at times of despair and not be sympathetic towards you? Sometimes people do need sympathy. I don't want to just write that off. Like, sympathy is something, but most people aren't looking for that. They're looking for empathy. They're looking for a way out. They're looking for a process to get out of the area that they're in. They don't like the way they feel. They're trying to find a way to get to B when they're stuck at A. And one of the biggest things that I see and easiest things that I do right away in the morning is say thank you. And we listen to David Meltzer, and we've listened to guys like Myron Golden and the pastors that we've listened to. And one of the hardest things to do for people to get up in the morning is to say thank you, because they get about their day immediately. They don't take time to center themselves with God and say thanks for my day. And it's the easiest thing you can do.
Well, and sometimes it's like you wake up or you're woke up in the morning, you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't get enough sleep. Versus if you would lay there for 30 seconds and say, thank you for the sleep that I was able to get this last night, right? That will change the entire tone for the day. When you constantly are waking up, like, oh, I'm so tired, then we're starting the day with negativity. And then it's so easy to then, oh, I just spilt my coffee. Oh, it's going to be one of those days. Somebody pulled out in front of me. Oh, it's going to be one of those days, versus thank you for the sleep that I was able to get. And it sets an entirely different tone of like, oh, I spilled. Oh, no big deal. I can wipe it up, or somebody else will get it for you. That's like when you're in the Starbucks line or the coffee line, and somebody, like, you just showed up, you said thank you in the morning, and then you were going to get coffee, and all of a sudden somebody's already passing along that your coffee is free that day. Right? It's just like, gosh, today was great. If only we could live every day like that, we would transpose everything within our life.
Well, you see that, like, some people will do that pay it forward Monday where they buy the coffee at Starbucks.
Why has it got to be a Monday?
I know, but what I'm saying is that they do these things just sporadically, like once every couple months or once a week to try to change things. But if you do it daily, that's when it becomes a habit and it becomes part of your normal routine. And then everybody's going to start saying to you, wow, you just seem different. You just seem happier. And when you start being happier, you're going to notice that people that are unhappy don't want to be around you, because you don't feed into their negativity. You don't feed into their negative thought processes. And I'm guilty of this too. It is super easy to be negative, especially right now in an election season. And when this airs, we're probably coming up close to the election. It's super easy to get negative. It's super easy to be doubtful. It's actually hard sometimes to be positive until we make it a habit, till we make it part of our daily routine. And it starts with saying thank you in the morning. The other thing is that if you are feeling down, you are feeling dumpy, you can't get your mood up, do something positive for the world. Someone else. Go around and pick up trash for 15 minutes. You feel pretty good when you're done with it because you did something positive. Go buy a coffee for somebody. We tried to buy people's tanks of gas. That backfired. That was really tough. Like, people wouldn't let you buy a tank of gas for some reason. I have no idea why. They were almost offended. I had one lady that let me do it, and she was so grateful and so happy. But that came with 10 no's. Like, it was incredible how many people were like, no, you're not paying for my gas. I don't need it. Or offended that I even offered. I was just trying to help out for the day.
Well, and then we already know what that person's going through in their life, right? Because we talk about this a lot of there needs to be givers and there needs to be takers. And it can be as simple as like, your shirt looks great today, or I love your smile. And that's where sometimes, like, it doesn't need to cost anything. But if we actually step out and, man, like, nobody said that thing to me, but maybe it's because you haven't said or done those things for other people.
Right. And when you have somebody that's super positive all the time and they do get negative, you start saying, well, what really changed in their life? Like there are certain people that walk into a room and they just radiate joy and they're happy. We've got a friend, Amanda Affleblad is like that. She just brings sunshine into every occasion. She's super positive all the time. It's really weird to hear her get negative. And when she does get negative, there's usually reasons behind it, but she's positive right after it. And she told us, like, we were going through a pretty negative time years ago and we were talking to Amanda and she's like, Skip, sometimes you just have to laugh it off. Like, you literally have to laugh off these events because what's happening to you is literally laughable because you can't explain it. And that's what happens in life all the time. But being super positive. So Dr. Julie, in my mind though, is how do we start these habits early? And I think it starts with our children. Because they get inundated with negativity.
Well, it's maybe negativity at school, maybe within their circles. I mean, it's bullies are everywhere. But then if they're also plugged into their phones and social media and video games, like I don't know of any video games of like pop the happy bubbles, right? It's like it's literally like running after people, shooting people, and it's very destructive.
Yeah.
And so that is what we are allowing our children to do and to see and to play. And then it becomes normal for them to think, oh, that's just how the world is supposed to be. Meanwhile, it's the complete opposite. So if they're not seeing that anywhere else in the world, it needs to come from you.
Yeah.
And I think we've had these conversations that, well, I'm not a lovey-dovey person. Well, it doesn't even need to be that. It doesn't need to be the hugs or the kisses. It could just be like, hey, you look great today. Or like, hey, buddy, let's have a great day. Right? We can start with positive talk, right? But then we can talk about setting as a family some positive affirmations or things that we say. Play a song like today's going to be a great day. You know, pick out what makes everybody's energy just bubble up and it just changes a tone. And sometimes like you could be in an argument and sometimes we just need that stop break and it could just be like tell a ridiculous joke or say like a funny, almost like not a safe word, but like say a word that's just going to break that tone.
That neurological reset.
That resets everything. And then you can be like, oh yeah, I do need to check it. And we all do need that as parents and as kids.
Well, there was a thought process years ago where people would wear rubber bands on their wrist and snap them every time they had a negative thought, trying to reprogram their neurology. But actually what that does is that actually negatively reinforces a negative.
Because you're getting an owie. That hurts.
It's like, well, I don't want to think negative anymore, so I'm going to snap myself and create something more negative in my life. And David Meltzer told us that's actually counterintuitive and counterproductive because it negatively changes your programming and your neurology. So the minute you think something negative, you expect something negative in return, where then it should be opposite. If you actually want to change the way you think positively, do something positive in return. So one of the biggest things that we talk about and we learned about in church is pray with expectations. Don't pray with asking or being negative towards a situation. Pray knowing that God's going to have your back. God's going to help you, that you're expecting the outcome because at the end of the day, he cares and loves you more than you love yourself. And at the end of the day, he's going to be there for you. So expect him to take care of you. Don't ask why. Why have you forsaken me? Why have you taken this away from me? Why aren't you helping me? Pray as you're expecting it, saying thank you immediately, saying thank you for what you're bringing today. Thank you for what you put into my life. And pray like you expect it. And if you don't believe in God and you believe like you're going to pray to the universe, which a lot of people apparently do, pray as if you mean it.
Well, it's the praying of the expectation, but that's but sometimes that's really hard to put into play.
It is.
And so I think sometimes people just need to start simple, right? So if we're struggling with, okay, how am I gonna do this? I don't even know like what the heck, what was thankful. Then like get a little journal, get a tiny little notebook, Post-it notes, and pick out one thing through your day that like maybe wasn't terrible, right? Like maybe your socks matched for the day.
Well, for some people that was it. Like that wasn't terrible.
But pick out some specifics.
Yep.
Right. And so for maybe that person, maybe sticky notes would be great. So like my socks matched today, or like, hey, I didn't spill my coffee. Maybe I didn't trip. Like sometimes we need to start small, right? Or somebody made a compliment, or I finished that project on time. And we need to start posting those around, if it's on our mirror, within our home, maybe in the dashboard of our car, wherever where we are a lot. And we need to start to be able to see these things.
You know, I just had a thought flash, and I think I figured out why people love social media so much. Because they are looking for affirmation into what they're doing as positive. People put things on social media for likes, for hearts, for the little caring emojis. And what that tells me is that actually makes me feel kind of empty in this thought, is that they are actively seeking people's affirmations, which means they don't get enough of it person to person.
Connection.
They don't get enough connection. So they're seeing connection digitally. They put these things out and they're like, I'm trying to get as many likes as possible or many follows. Why? But why? Because I want to feel that what I'm doing is making a difference. And they don't get it enough personally. And that's scary.
It's very scary. And that's why when people are consumed and they're living within, the social media world, it can go back to like, okay, can you name your best friend's phone number?
Right.
That's really hard to do because we're engaging. Like, we don't even know those numbers anymore. So I think some of us need to start to live our life off of the phone and pick up the phone or something else, like make a phone call, schedule the coffee date, come to an event. November is National Gratitude Month. So like if this is what it is needed for somebody to at least start this, let's do the month of November to find, maybe you only have one friend, but maybe you check in on that friend or you text that friend every day.
I wouldn't even say text them. Leave them a voice memo. Oh yeah, by the way, I do have my best friend's number memorized. Number one is speed dial number 1 on my phone. It has a star next to it. And I know your phone number, Julie. We practice gratitude with our kids because I feel that children can change in their attitude in seconds, like in split seconds. We know that. We've seen that with both of our kids, where they're super happy and then literally
flip of a switch.
Like you swear that they farted sideways and then all of a sudden like their whole world changed. And it's like, what just happened?
And it could be a tone. It could be a look. And again, we just need that neurology reset of something off the wall. And so if that's a joke or to break out in song or, jumping jacks, just something crazy to be like, what the heck? Like, that was stupid. But it resets the tone.
Yeah.
And so I think, we eat dinner together every night. And so, yeah, it's kind of the mundane of asking, what did you do for the day? But like, what was super great that happened? Or what did you do to help somebody else? Because sometimes it becomes mundane and monotonous, but the little things get overlooked. And those little things really do need to be celebrated if we want to begin to ingrain these things in our kids.
Yeah. And it starts right there in trying to help them with gratitude every day. Because if we can start these healthy habits, and it is a healthy habit, with them right away off the ground, then they're going to pass it on. And honestly, being grateful to someone can come in different shapes and sizes. And that's coming back to speaking their love languages. Because if you don't perceive my spoken word to you as love, and what I mean by that is if I say, Julie, your hair is beautiful, but words of affirmation don't really sit positively with you or don't make you feel great, then you may take that a different way. You may say, well, what's wrong with it then? Like if he's complimenting my hair, there's got to be something wrong. Even though I say that to somebody else and then like, wow, that really made my day. Or I really like that shirt. And the worst thing we can do is reprimand somebody for being thoughtful, for being thankful, for being happy. I mean, our daughter literally got reprimanded last week at school because she told a teacher that color looked nice on them.
Well, and I think it is a struggle, right? Because no matter the age, people are put into different situations. We've had the same conversation with our son of like, yeah, my teacher's having a rough week. And I was like, well, has anybody checked in with her?
Yeah.
Right. Have you told her that maybe she looks nice or, that was a great lesson today. Just being a person, right? Because everybody's people. And I think that's where we forget to treat the other person like how you want to be treated. And it's so easy to hide behind things that we've forgotten as a society how to interact face to face. And so when you have somebody that has gratitude and they're trying to pass that along, don't get discouraged if it's not readily taken, right? Or if somebody is offended by it, because there's many other people that are waiting to hear those things to be able to fill your bucket back up and share that back to you.
Don't be afraid to ask the person either when they're super positive and happy, what makes them so happy? Like what, and it's an honest question. Like, hey, Julie, like you are always so happy. Like why, how do you find positivity in every situation? And it might be a really amazing thought or trick where she's like, I look at everything through rainbow glasses. Like literally, like I try to look at the positive side of everything, Well,
it's if you had the option to go through your day happy or like upset, I would hope that you would be able to want to choose happiness. But I think some people just feel like they don't have that choice anymore. So if nothing else, today you get to make that choice because nobody else can make that choice for you. You have to make that choice. And then it starts to bubble over to other people, which is just really amazing.
That's fun to watch that vibration change in everyone. And it's fun to, in our world, when we're working with patients, to have them come in and they're having a bad day. And literally the spoken word, a touch on their hand, a touch on their shoulder, me being positive, you being positive, changes their day and changes their morning. Like, and we know because of that, they're better parents, they're better spouses, they are just better human beings because they got positive communication. They got positive impact. We didn't stay negative. And actually, to be honest with you, I can't wait for the election to be done because I'm so sick and tired of people coming in and talking about it. And I don't talk politics with our patients very rarely.
But it's in the air.
It's in the air.
That's where it pulls on everyone. And as much as you want to be unchecked from it, it's still there. It's like that nagging thing in the corner, right? The dust webs the cobwebs that you can see in the corner, right? There's always lurking. But I think, politics, like that's a big one. But everybody has that little thing that's nagging. And so I think it's just being able to keep that limited. And how you do that is just to make sure that you have more gratitude, that you have more happiness, that you're balancing it, that, the seesaw is on the happiness, gratitude side versus the negativity.
Oh, you want to hear this one trick that I learned? If you are feeling upset, you need to put a pencil in your mouth or a pen and hold it sideways. Within 5 seconds, you will feel happy. Do you want to know why?
Why?
It makes you smile. Having something in your mouth like this.
I was like, I was looking. I hope there's not a pencil in here.
It changes their face. I learned that from golf instruction. And I learned it from Virgil Herring, who was talking about, I forgot which player was playing in the professional golf. And his coach was like, tell him to put his golf pencil in his mouth immediately. And he made him do it and walk all the way up to the green because he was already on his fourth stroke and it was a par 3. And people were asking him why. It was Rory McIlroy. And they were asking him why, his coach, why he made him do it. And he's like, so he'd smile and change his mindset. And it worked. And he went on to win the tournament. And that day shot low score. But he made him put that in his mouth to change his face. So if you're feeling down, put your pen in your mouth. This way. Don't stick it in, but like to the side and hold it like that.
Oh my gosh.
See, just made her day. But you have anything else you want to add in, Dr. Julie? I know that was a little off what I was saying at the end there, but I think it's a magical trick that we can make all of our kids do and our spouses. I'm going to walk around with a pencil just for you. All right, everybody. Share this to anybody that needs more positivity in their life, more laughter, more fun, and just get out there, get it done, and have a wonderful week. Stay positive. Bye, everyone.